Is Aaron Rodgers, is Mike Tomlin, are they done in Pittsburgh? And maybe even most, more third than that, are they done, period? Is it over? Are we at an end of an era?
This was an ugly loss. Like, I think that's the biggest thing about this wasn't a close, like, honestly, the way that the rest of the playoffs had gone, had the Steelers lost maybe the way that the Panthers lost or something like that, I think the perspective would look a lot like just everything around the game would look different. And there'd be a chance that we're not having the same exact conversation. But man, this one was ugly. I mean, 30-6, the final score, but it also at the same time kind of felt like 100-6. But then at the same time, because of the Texans offense being what it was, it really kind of felt like the 7-6 score that it was for a while. Very interesting. But the defense from the Texans totally obliterating Aaron Rodgers, just play after play after play. I mean, it really was an ugly ending. And then obviously when you compile that with the fact that the Steelers have lost 6 or 7 in a row now in the postseason, I think it was 7. And TJ Watt was a part of the 5 of those, I think is what they were throwing out there. It's just, there's going to be question marks. And I think, the Aaron Rodgers question marks are more about, like, I don't think it's surprising as much. It's not really about, like, does he want to play for this Steelers team as opposed to, like, he's 42 or whatever. Like, I think everyone's kind of seen the writing on the wall coming for a while now. We've been having the same conversation for like 5 years. But as far as Mike Tomlin goes and the future of the Steelers, that I think is a much more organizational, what is the goal here? Because I just wanted to throw this your way. The Steelers now have, 19 in a row straight winning seasons. I mean, it's incredible. It's the longest start to a career by a head coach of all time. It's insane. But 7 straight losses in the playoffs. I mean, it's ugly. It's not really ideal. Then you look at what Shanahan and the 49ers have done. He has more playoff wins since 2017 than Mike Tomlin has all time. And a ton of losing seasons mixed in there. So which one would you rather have, right? It's one of the classic, would you rather beat your rival or win the national title games? If you could only pick one, which would you choose? Would you rather have a winning season literally every year or have some up years, some down years, but you go to the Super Bowl? You might not win it, but you go to the divisional round. There is some hope, but you can look forward to, like, oh, next game. So I think that's really a philosophical question the Steelers need to answer this offseason and decide where the trajectory of their program is heading.
Yeah, it's been a very long time since the Steelers have been bad, right? Like, they've been, if you want to say it, mediocre for a very long time. But it's been a very long time since the Steelers have been bad. I'm talking like going back to before Ben Roethlisberger. I'm talking about going to like the Tommy Maddox, Charlie Batch days at quarterback, like where they were going back and forth deciding who was going to play that. There was a couple seasons under Bill Cowher where it just wasn't going right towards the end of his tenure. It's been a while. So now you have to maybe ask this question. The Ravens did it with John Harbaugh. Do you decide, hey, look, maybe being on the fringe of being a playoff team year in and year out is great. Don't get me wrong. You were always battling. You were always in contention. You were always playing football in late December, January, regardless. But, like, at the end of the day, that's not the ultimate goal. Right.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who's a competitor, Mike Tomlin will be the first to tell you this as well. That's obviously not the end of the goal. Them going 10-7 for 3 straight years isn't the answer. And obviously, I think there needs to be a change here. I wonder if they're going to actually do it. I didn't know if the Ravens were going to do it. Yeah. And then they did. And then Mike Tomlin here, like, is this because did he make the playoffs? Did he save his job? And of course, is it a good idea to actually make this decision? Because he made the playoffs. He won the division.
Right.
So it's an interesting concept for sure. I lean towards you keep them. I personally do. And I know that might sound wild. And because look at all the things that are pointing in the wrong direction. You just tied Marvin Lewis for the most playoff losses in a row at 7. The team that obviously trades to get Aaron Rodgers, trades to get DK Metcalf. You go and get some big time players. You hope that it obviously can help you. And the best you do is 10-7 in a division that obviously struggled this year under Joe Burrow, under Lamar Jackson. The Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. And you obviously struggle, and you still find a way to make the postseason. It's not the same Pittsburgh Steelers team that it has been for quite some time. But, man, I'm telling you what, I think there still is some juice for Mike Tomlin.
I don't know, man. I think I'm on the other side of the fence here. I'm not going to lie. I just think back to, like, man, think about, like, Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Le'Veon Bell. Was that the year they started 11-0? It was just like those teams were so fun to watch. And I don't think it really, winning the Super Bowl at that point obviously is the goal. But if you fall short, there was still like some hope, I feel like, obviously for like next season. And also like it wasn't at the point that it is now with Mike Tomlin. I feel like now there's more questions than ever with the roster. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong on that. I do feel like Steelers fans are getting a little bit of like, okay, this is getting old. Like this is getting a little stale. And if I'm wrong on that, that's just me not living in Pittsburgh. So like I totally understand I could be misreading the vibe there, but they were loud in the stadium last night. They were very disappointed in how that game went. And you could hear it through the broadcast. I lean towards if you could only go 10-7 in a division that really, really struggled this year. I mean, we are talking almost NFC South levels of struggle, considering the amount of talent that the AFC North has. That it's just not a good sign, right? Like, obviously, very good coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time to do it. I am not arguing about how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is, but I am saying with the roster he has, it's pretty decent roster. Obviously, it's no world beater. I'm not saying that, but a pretty decent roster. You can only go 10-7 and squeak out a divisional win in a year where Joe Burrow and Lamar, and then obviously the Browns, they just were terrible. Like, it was a bad year for the North. And I don't know. I just lean towards they're ready for a change, and they're ready to try something new.
Aaron Rodgers, 42 years old, played most likely his last game in the NFL. If that's the case, his final throw was a pick six to the Houston Texans.
I appreciate the fact that they pulled him. Though.
Yeah, I hated the fact that they pulled him with 2 minutes to go. I wanted to throw at least one screen pass so he could have that not on his resume. Like I was saying that out loud.
Catching those, man.
That's true. It was a bad game. They could get. I mean, there was nothing going right for the Steelers in this football game. And on the flip side, not much was going right for Houston's offense either. They just found a way to win, and obviously the defense did a good job. C.J. Stroud was not good in this game whatsoever. If you look at the stats and just his passing yards, 251 touchdown and a pick, you might think, okay, that's not too bad. He fumbled 5 times, Nick. 5 times. That's an NFL postseason record. He hit the record when he got the 4. The most
that was before the half, wasn't it?
In the play, yeah, and he's had 5 in the football game, and he still found a way to win that game. He needs to be buying Rolexes and steak dinners for his entire defense this week, for the entire week after getting that win, because this is the first time the Texans have won a road playoff game in the history of their franchise as the Houston Texans. And they do it in one of the toughest environments in Pittsburgh, in the Steel City. And now we might be getting a steel curtain call with Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers maybe finishing their career. Look, if Aaron Rodgers decides to call it quits, which nobody would give him crap for doing so, he's closer to AARP than he is his rookie years, right? So no one would give him crap. True. Everybody thought that he was going to be done this past year when you saw him standing out on the beach thinking about his life, right? Everybody, when the pictures came out, the darkness retreats, right? If he goes into the darkness this time for good, what does that mean for the Steelers? If you look at the pending free agents for quarterbacks, you have Mason Rudolph on your roster right now. The pending free agents for quarterback, Daniel Jones. Yeah, that's probably your best bet. But Indianapolis is going to chase after him hard. We've already heard Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, saying they're doing so. Other than that, your best quarterback in free agency is probably Malik Willis. And that's it. I mean, you're talking Russell Wilson. Already tried that. Didn't work. You're talking Trey Lance. He was behind the Chargers. Like, you give that a shot again. You just tried that with Justin Fields. That didn't really work. Marcus Mariota, he's getting older. That's probably not the right call either. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Do you move towards a rookie like Ty Simpson's are kind of projected to fall down to their, I think they're picking 21 right now.
And then that gives you another question. It's like, is Mike Tomlin ready to do that with a rookie at his age in his career?
Hey, quick timeout. If you haven't already, hit subscribe down below. We're live literally every morning during the week talking about the biggest stories in sports. So you hitting subscribe is completely free and helps us out more than you know. It's a win-win all around. All right, back to the clip. I think we could be looking at a full wipe. Like we get rid of the head coach, we get, move on to a rookie, and just like it's almost.
I think that's where I lean to saying yes, it might need to be finally time for Tomlin to go. Because when you have a coach that has been around for so long, and then you're like, okay, we got to shift forces. We got to go down to the nuts and bolts. Let's get a rookie quarterback. Let's build it up. Then you go bring a new philosophy in. But if you're going to go bring somebody in free agency, which there's nobody in there, so that means you're going to have to trade for a veteran. The only one that comes to mind is Kirk Cousins. Is that move the needle for you?
No, I don't think the Steelers can win that way. And I think, as great of a head coach as Mike Tomlin is, a refresh for him is going to be great. Obviously, I guess he could be done. He could retire, and he would retire one of the greatest of all time if he were to retire, and he'd have a crazy streak and whatever. But I don't think he will. So, if they move on and he goes and gets a new change of scenery and sees success, and then the Steelers kind of rebrand themselves a little bit, bring in a new head coach, they have the opportunity to go with a new, brand new rookie, a brand spanking new, shiny new toy for the fans to get behind. Like, I feel like that is going to just present so much hope that could be the avenue here, because otherwise you stay with a coach that all of the Steelers fans ever are just assuming, all right, we're going to go 9-8. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to lose first round. We're going to pay TJ Watt too much money. We're probably going to trade for some veteran quarterback. We're going to pay too much money. We're going to pick up, a 2019 first team All-Pro, or an All-Star, or whatever you want to call them. Like, it's not a formula that's been working. And I think trying something new I think everyone that's a Steelers fan would probably at least listen to it. They might not tolerate it for very long, but they'll at least entertain the idea.
If you had to pick a job that's open right now for Mike Tomlin to go to, if he decides to move on from the Steelers, to me, the only one that makes the only sense is the Falcons. You at least have a quarterback, you have pass rush, you have a defense, you have some weapons. You don't have to do much to that one. Yeah, you don't have a first-round pick, but I don't think that's stopping Mike Tomlin. I think you are a playoff team in the NFC South, of course, and you get right back to being 10-7 in the NFC South might guarantees you the division.
10-7 in the NFC South would literally break records for most.
They might build a statue. Yeah.
I mean, you're exactly right. There's actually, that's a really good point. I was going to say maybe, I don't know, culturally wise, is the Raiders like, that's just the first one.
But that would be the rookie quarterback conversation again with the Raiders.
No, absolutely. But it's a change of scenery too, though. I think there's just something to be said about him committing to a new team, showing that he's going to be there 5-ish years or whatever, committing to a rookie, as opposed to, man, it feels like he's been here forever. Like, is he going to see this rookie through? I think is kind of how I'm thinking about it, at least. But the Falcons, that's a great pick. And, if the Steelers move on, as soon as he's on the market, he will be the number one coach out there. I don't think that's super controversial take. I think that everybody knows the caliber of coach that Mike Tomlin is. And if you can bring him in, if nothing else, obviously for the winning season, but the fan base is going to just go nuts for that. Like the potential for, not only 1 year, but 2 or 3 or 4 year success is almost inevitable. I think that you have to do that if you're an owner.
Yeah, he retires. He's going to be either in media. I think he could go in the front office. I think he could head coach somewhere else as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. And then that could be another route too. Maybe he decides to move into the front office of the Steelers and then grow a new coach. Like that could be really fun. And that might be the best move for Pittsburgh. If I'm a Pittsburgh fan, if I'm a Steelers fan, that's the move that I want them to personally make. If you want to have some sort of change, but still have Tomlin around, because I don't think that's a bad thing for you in your organization. What's happened over the last, it's insane. Over the last, 25 years? There's only been 2 coaches in Pittsburgh?
Well, more than that, right?
Yeah, we're talking 30 years. Yeah, like it's been Cowher and Tomlin since however long. It's been insane since the early 90s.
Yeah,
mid 90s. I think Cowher started in 95, and that's a guess. I don't have anything in front of me. If I'm right, then holy crap. While you're looking 92. That up, Aaron Rodgers said it's an absolute joke for Matt LaFleur, the Green Bay Packers head coach, and Mike Tomlin to even be considered on a hot seat. Do you think that's a good take or a bad take from Aaron Rodgers?
Just for the record, Cowher became the coach in 92. So, and then their last head coach before that was Noel, and he was brought on in 69. So if you want to go even back yet another coaching tenure, the Steelers are known for bringing on guys for an extended amount of time. Which, it's just actually crazy. And as far as Rodgers' statement, what he's basically talking about, I did listen to this, was he was saying like back in the day, this wouldn't have really been a conversation. They would have gotten a lot more grace. And it's the same thing with rookie quarterbacks, right? Like guys now only get 2 maybe years because they got to figure out if they're going to get a 5th year extended. And they have to decide that really, really early. And then the way the money works. And it's like back in Rodgers, 2005 or whatever it was when he was drafted, you got 6 years minimum, I think, to develop yourself and to prove that you can be a quarterback. It's just not that way anymore. And obviously coaching is going to reflect that. So to say it's ridiculous or whatever the wording was that he said for those quarterbacks or for those coaches to be on the hot seat, I'm not disagreeing with him, but like it's also the reality of the situation. The NFL is much different than it was 21 years ago. Like it's just a much faster turnover. You need to win now. And it's because guys are proving that they can do it, right? Like look at Vrabel and what May is doing up in New England. Like he hasn't been there 15 years. He hasn't been there 7 or 8 years. He's been there 2 years or whatever it is. And he's just already killing it. So there is an element of truth to the fact that you kind of have to be able to do it. I think that there's, with Tomlin, I don't think it's about success. I think it's more about maybe postseason success and potentially just trying to change the trajectory of the program. LaFleur is an interesting one, though. That one he threw in there, and that one I wonder, just about how do you feel about the LaFleur one? Because I think the Tomlin one is slightly different, in my opinion.
I think LaFleur, you can't get rid of. Tomlin, I think if you're going
Right.
to make any moves because of the stagnantness, the 7 straight playoff losses, the fact that your division rival who had a long-term coach did the exact same thing, and they're going to be making a brand new rebuild. This is the perfect time. If you want to make the move for Tomlin, there's not a better time. LaFleur, on the other hand, you don't let him go to the market. If LaFleur goes to the market, he's the Steelers coach tomorrow. Because the Steelers become the best opening in NFL, and LaFleur would take that in a heartbeat.
If LaFleur hit the market, I think there'd be a fair amount of owners that would fire their head coach to bring LaFleur in.
Well, I honestly think you're correct, and that just tells you that alone. I mean, we've had this conversation about Stefanski too. Like, if the Cleveland Browns fire you and you're already interviewing for head coaching jobs, then you did not do the right choice in firing.
Right.
Speaking of playoff success, D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud, they've been together for 3 years now. In all 3 of those seasons, they've reached the AFC's Final Four so far. That's pretty incredible. Wow. They made it to the divisional round in all 3 of the seasons under them. And I know it makes, after watching that game last night, CJ Stroud, putting him in the conversation there as the duo, Stroud didn't really get him there. They helped.
Stroud was actively hurting them.
He was limping the Texans into this one. But now you're going to see the Texans play the Patriots in Foxborough on Sunday, potentially without wide receiver 1 and Nico Collins. But on the flip side, the Patriots are going to be without potentially their CB1 in Christian Gonzalez. How do you feel about that one? I know you're a Patriots fan, but you just watched maybe the most electric, maybe the most toughest defense in the NFL take down an NFL legend. But then on the other side, you got a guy like Drake May.
Yeah. Well, first off, obviously, Nico, just a tough situation there, not being able to brace. So obviously hoping he's all right and speedy recovery. If he's not, that's just ugly. This defense for the Texans is like just genuinely the only thing I'm scared of about this team. On offense, I mean, it's a general offensive, NFL team. They're going to have success. But they're definitely below the average mark, at least in this game they were, in my opinion. And CJ Stroud is somehow holding them back. I don't know if it was one game here or if it's like the playoffs or whatever. I am terrified of this defense, though. And one name that stood out to me was Jalen Petrie. I mean, there was like 7 plays in a row where his stat line, yes, he led the defense with 7 total tackles, 5 solo, and 2 tackles for loss. But it was insane the way he was just, for lack of a better word, like flies on shit. I mean, everywhere the ball was going, he was there. It was insane. He was making plays left, right, and center. I believe, I kind of want to say he was the guy guarding Collins when he got hurt, but it was right around that time of the game that he was just literally breaking passes up, making tackles, diving for picks. Like it was, and that's just the epitome of this Texans defense. And the pass rush was nuts for them all night long. They had 8 tackles for loss. They were just dominating the Steelers. So I am a little bit scared of that. I think the Patriots offensive line is going to have to be more than ready for sacks. for the Texans against a relatively decent Steelers offensive line and a veteran who should be able to at least pick up on what's coming their way. It's going to be a tough one, but I think that if I had to lean, general which team is better, I'd go Patriots because their offense is going to be able to score points. I think the Texans are going to have to lean on defensive points.
It's gonna be a wild game, that's for sure. And I'm excited to see what the next couple of days goes for the Steelers organization because I think there's going to be a lot of huge franchise altering decisions within the next, dare I say, couple hours, let alone maybe even couple days. There might be some things that happen very quickly when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, just wanted to thank you for watching the entire video. If you haven't already, consider hitting subscribe down below. It helps the channel grow and helps us bring better content to you guys every single day. We're live literally every Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 Eastern talking about the biggest stories in sports. So if you haven't dropped by, you really should. We love interacting with chatters, hearing your guys' opinions. You could easily become a part of the show. So hit subscribe and tell a friend. I'll see you in the morning.